The massive ship appeared on a Tuesday, because apparently even advanced alien civilizations had a flair for the mundane. It positioned itself directly over the United Nations headquarters in New York, blocking out the sun and causing thousands of humans to crane their necks upward, smartphones at the ready for the perfect Instagram moment. The ship itself looked like something out of a modern art exhibition, all swooping curves and impossible angles that made engineers worldwide develop instant migraines trying to figure out how it stayed airborne. Its surface shifted colors like an oil slick on water, which would have been impressive if it hadn't been giving everyone below a collective headache. "Greetings, primitive carbon-based life forms," boomed a voice that managed to sound both melodious and thoroughly annoyed at having to speak at all. "We are the Zixitharian Collective, and we have come to evaluate your species for potential inclusion in the galactic community." The announcement was simultaneously translated into every language on Earth, which would have been more impressive if they hadn't made every translator sound like they were sucking on helium. Several world leaders had to mute their microphones to hide their snickering. The Zixitharians, as they called themselves, looked like what would happen if you crossed a peacock with a geometry textbook, all sharp angles and iridescent surfaces. Their ambassador, who introduced himself with a name that sounded like someone dropping a box of silverware down a flight of stairs, materialized in the UN General Assembly. "We have been observing your species for some time," the ambassador announced, managing to look down his nose at everyone despite not having a nose. "Your technological development is quaint. Your social structures are interesting." He paused, clearly searching for diplomatic words. "Your entertainment programming, particularly what you call reality television, has been most enlightening." The UN Secretary-General maintained an admirably straight face. "We welcome you to Earth and look forward to peaceful dialogue between our peoples." "Yes, yes," the ambassador waved a crystalline appendage dismissively. "We've prepared a series of tests to determine if your species is worthy of joining galactic civilization. Do try to keep up." As news of the alien arrival spread, humanity's reactions were as varied as they were predictable. Conspiracy theorists emerged from their bunkers to smugly declare, "I told you so." Religious leaders scrambled to explain how their texts had totally predicted this. Social media exploded with memes about the aliens' appearance, and someone already had a TikTok dance challenge inspired by their movement patterns. Military leaders worldwide quietly began coordinating, while pretending to be as technologically inept as the aliens believed. Scientists downloaded every scrap of data they could gather about the alien ship, their communications, and their technology, all while nodding politely at the Zixitharians' condescending explanations of basic physics. The stage was set. Humanity had been underestimated countless times throughout history by its own members. Now they were being underestimated by beings from another world. As the saying went, history had a way of repeating itself. Though this time, the story would have a very different ending. The Zixitharian High Evaluator, whose name sounded like a computer having a sneezing fit, strode into the hastily assembled International Cooperation Center. Their crystalline form shifted through various shades of smug superiority as they prepared to explain their testing protocols to Earth's representatives. "Your evaluation will consist of 3 phases, they announced, projecting a holographic display that looked suspiciously like a cosmic PowerPoint presentation. "We find this simplified format helps lesser species understand better." The alien's pause was perfectly calculated to be just long enough to be insulting. The first challenge appeared in the display. Phase 1, Resource Management and Energy Efficiency. The High Evaluator's voice dripped with condescension. "You must reduce your planetary energy consumption by 90% while increasing productivity by 300%. You have 1 Earth month." Several human representatives exchanged glances. A military general from India discreetly rolled her eyes while pretending to take notes on her tablet. "Phase 2, the alien continued, either missing or ignoring the reactions, involves solving what we call a basic mathematical equation." The hologram shifted to show a formula that looked like someone had thrown advanced calculus, quantum mechanics, and abstract art into a blender. For Phase 3, the High Evaluator's color shifted to what the humans would later learn was their species' equivalent of a smirk. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Most species fail Phase 1 spectacularly. Behind closed doors, in a secure bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Earth's military and scientific leaders gathered for a very different kind of meeting. "They've got to be kidding with these demands," General Rodriguez snorted, tossing a tablet onto the conference table. "A 90% reduction in energy use while tripling productivity. They're either testing our honesty or our creativity." Admiral Wong leaned forward, her expression thoughtful. "Notice how they never actually specified how we should measure that productivity increase, or what counts as energy consumption." "Their arrogance is their weakness," Dr. Patel chimed in, his fingers flying over a keyboard as he analyzed the alien formula. "They're so convinced of their superiority that they're not even bothering to monitor us properly. Their sensors are focused on our major power grids and industrial centers, but not on our smaller research facilities or military installations," finished Colonel Mbeki, a slow smile spreading across his face. "They expect us to either fail or cheat, obviously. They're not looking for the subtle approach." Russian Defense Minister, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke up. "Their technology is impressive, but their psychology is lacking. They understand machines better than minds. This can be used against them." "Speaking of psychology," Dr. Kumar interjected, pulling up footage of various alien interactions, "has anyone else noticed how they react when their assumptions are challenged? That color shift they do, it's not just for show, it's involuntary." The room grew quiet as implications sank in. These supposedly superior beings had tells, had weaknesses. Their technology might be advanced, but their understanding of deception, of warfare, of human ingenuity, was fundamentally flawed. "Here's what we're going to do," General Rodriguez said, standing up to address the room. "We're going to give them exactly what they expect. A primitive species scrambling to meet impossible demands. Meanwhile..." The next hour was spent outlining a plan that would have made Sun Tzu proud. The aliens wanted to test humanity's worth? Fine. But they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating Earth's inhabitants. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Wong paused at the door. "Remember," she said, "we need to appear appropriately confused and desperate during tomorrow's progress report. The High Evaluator seems to particularly enjoy that." The leaders dispersed, each carrying a piece of the plan. Above them, the Zixatharian ship continued its lazy orbit, its occupants blissfully unaware that their evaluation was about to become a test of their own capabilities, one they were already failing. While the Zixatharians smugly monitored Earth's major power grids, humanity was orchestrating the greatest sleight of hand in history. Underground facilities, repurposed Cold War bunkers, and seemingly abandoned mining complexes hummed with activity. The resistance wasn't just a military operation. It was a global collaboration of minds. In a converted warehouse in Johannesburg, Dr. Patel hunched over a piece of salvaged alien tech, his eyes wide with realization. "Their entire system runs on quantum entanglement, but they're using it wrong," he muttered into his recorder. "They've optimized for efficiency, but completely ignored the chaos factor. It's like building a Ferrari and only driving it in first gear." Similar breakthroughs were happening worldwide. In Buenos Aires, a teenager's gaming rig accidentally intercepted alien communications while running Minecraft with too many mods. In Tokyo, a research team discovered that the aliens' supposedly unhackable systems had the digital equivalent of a screen door in the back. They were so convinced of their superiority that they'd never bothered to patch it. The public face of humanity's response was a masterpiece of theatrical compliance. Cities made a great show of dimming their lights. Factories reduced their visible output. Government officials held press conferences where they wrung their hands and spoke of the tremendous challenge ahead. Meanwhile, in a bunker beneath Ottawa, military strategists were having a very different conversation. Their shields operate on a predictable frequency, Colonel Mbeki explained, pointing to a complex diagram. They don't even bother varying it because they think we're too primitive to detect it, let alone exploit it. Classic example of technical knowledge without wisdom, Dr. Kumar added, adjusting her glasses. They've achieved space travel but never learned the basic military principle of not underestimating your opponent. The countermeasures being developed were elegant in their simplicity. Humanity wasn't trying to match the aliens' technology. They were finding ways to turn it against itself. Each primitive solution was designed to exploit the Zixatharians' blind spots. In a seemingly defunct factory in Detroit, engineers were modifying old electromagnetic pulse devices. The aliens had defenses against advanced EMP weapons, but their shields weren't designed to handle the crude, brute-force versions humans had developed decades ago. It was like having an advanced antivirus, but being vulnerable to someone pulling the power plug. The human response to the basic mathematical equation was particularly inspired. Instead of trying to solve it directly, they approached it like a puzzle game. A distributed network of computers, each one seemingly running innocent programs like video games or streaming services, was actually working on small parts of the solution. They're expecting us to either fail or cheat, obviously, explained a programmer in Bangladesh during a secure video conference. So we're doing neither. We're solving it, just not in the way they think we can. Even the social media response was carefully orchestrated. For every genuine post about the alien presence, there were dozens crafted by intelligence agencies, creating a picture of a species struggling to cope with advanced concepts. Memes about not understanding alien technology spread like wildfire, each one carefully designed to reinforce the Zixatharian superiority complex. In a secured room beneath the Pentagon, General Rodriguez reviewed the latest progress reports. The aliens' evaluation system was being matched point for point, but not in ways they could detect or understand. Humanity was playing a game of three-dimensional chess, while their opponents thought they were teaching them checkers. Phase 1 completion is at 87%, reported Admiral Wong. All visible metrics show exactly what they expect to see, a species barely managing to meet their demands through desperate measures. And the actual preparations? Ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Every failure they think they're seeing is hiding a success they can't imagine. The general nodded, allowing himself a small smile. The Zixatharians wanted to test Earth's worthiness. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their resources, but in their ability to turn apparent weakness into strength. Above, the alien ship continued its orbit, its crew congratulating themselves on how well their evaluation was proceeding, completely unaware that they were no longer the ones running the test. The High Evaluator's announcement came exactly 1 Earth month after their arrival, their crystalline form practically vibrating with smug satisfaction. Your species has somehow managed to meet our Phase 1 requirements, albeit barely, and with considerable inefficiency. The assembled human representatives maintained appropriately humble expressions, though several were mentally counting down to 0. However, the alien continued, their color shifting to what humans had learned to recognize as their particularly condescending shade, we have decided to add an additional requirement to Phase 2. To prove your worthiness, you will surrender control of your military forces to our oversight committee. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. This was the moment humanity had been waiting for, the aliens' fatal overreach. Furthermore, the High Evaluator droned on, completely missing the subtle shift in the room's atmosphere, we require access to all your planetary defense systems. This is, of course, for your own protection. We wouldn't want such primitive weapons in untrained hands. General Rodriguez stepped forward, his expression carefully neutral. With all due respect, Honorable Evaluator, might we have 24 hours to coordinate this transition? As you know, our primitive communication systems require time to reach all our military installations. The alien's surface rippled with what passed for laughter in their species. Of course, of course. Take all the time you need to come to terms with your evolutionary limitations. The moment the alien delegation left the room, humanity's carefully orchestrated response began. Coded messages bounced between seemingly innocent civilian communications. Social media platforms exploded with carefully crafted distractions. Cat videos overlaid with encrypted instructions, memes carrying activation codes. In orbit, the first signs of confusion began to appear among the Zixatharian crew. Their sensors detected a slight anomaly in Earth's magnetic field, but their systems dismissed it as natural variation. After all, what could these primitives possibly do to affect planetary magnetism? The High Evaluator was in the middle of composing a particularly patronizing report to the galactic community when their ship's auxiliary power suddenly fluctuated. A junior technician's color shifted to worried purple. High Evaluator, we're detecting some unusual patterns in the human's power grid. Obviously, they're inefficient systems struggling to maintain our required energy reductions, the High Evaluator dismissed. Log it as another example of their technological inadequacy. But the patterns were spreading. Across Earth's surface, power grids were pulsing in sequences that seemed random to alien observers, but were actually precisely coordinated. Each pulse carried a payload of corrupted data, designed to exploit that screen door weakness in the aliens' quantum networks. The first real sign that something was wrong came when the ship's communication system started playing what seemed to be human entertainment content. Specifically, Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, on all frequencies. A primitive viral audio attack, the High Evaluator declared confidently. Their desperate attempt to demonstrate cultural relevance. Quite pathetic, really. They didn't realize the song was merely a distraction from the real attack, a cascading series of quantum entanglement manipulations that were systematically unraveling their ship's defensive algorithms. In the Pentagon bunker, Admiral Wong watched the alien ship's power signatures fluctuate. They still think they're in control, she reported, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. They haven't even noticed that their own systems are being turned against them. Typical, Dr. Kumar replied, monitoring the quantum interference patterns. They're so convinced of their superiority that they've rationalized every warning sign. Their system is literally singing to them that something's wrong, and they're calling it a primitive audio attack. The High Evaluator's dismissive attitude was about to cost them dearly. As they prepared to announce Phase 3 of their evaluation, humanity's counterstrike was already bypassing their supposedly impenetrable defenses, using their own arrogance as a weapon against them. Earth was done being tested. It was time to show these advanced aliens exactly why underestimating humanity was the last mistake so many would-be conquerors had made. The High Evaluator was mid-sentence in another condescending speech when Earth revealed its hand. The first sign that something was catastrophically wrong came when their ship's quantum defense grid began to harmonize with Earth's power systems, not failing, but actively synchronizing. Impossible. The High Evaluator's crystalline form shifted through colors never before seen by human eyes, the alien equivalent of a full-blown panic attack. Their technology is primitive. They cannot possibly. Across their main viewing screen, mathematical formulae began appearing, humanity's solution to their basic equation. But it wasn't solved in the way they expected. Instead of following their prescribed methods, humans had found 13 different solutions, each approaching the problem from a completely different angle. High Evaluator, a junior technician called out, their form pulsing with alarm. We're detecting energy signatures everywhere. They're not just in their power grids, they're in their entertainment systems, their communication networks, their gaming consoles. Their what? The answer came in the form of a synchronized surge as millions of modified gaming systems, each contributing a tiny portion of computing power, launched a distributed quantum attack that made their previous rickroll seem like a gentle warm-up. In the command bunker, General Rodriguez gave the signal. Execute Operation Hubris. Humanity's coordinated strike was a symphony of technological warfare. Crude but effective EMP devices, hidden in abandoned factories and obsolete power stations, activated in a rolling wave across the globe. The aliens' shields, designed to resist advanced energy weapons, had no defense against this primitive brute force approach. From seemingly defunct Soviet-era satellites, preserved for exactly this kind of moment, came precisely targeted pulses of what appeared to be simple radio waves. But these waves carried quantum-entangled particles, carefully designed to interact with the aliens' own technology in ways their arrogance had never led them to protect against. The High Evaluator watched in horror as their ship's systems began responding to human commands. "Cut all connections to their networks." "We can't," the technician replied, their color fading to a terrified gray. "They're not hacking our network. They've created a parallel network using our own quantum principles against us. It's like they turned our ship into a giant smartphone and they're just using its features." In orbit, human space stations that the aliens had dismissed as primitive suddenly revealed hidden capabilities. What the Zixotharians had thought were solar panels turned out to be quantum field manipulators, reverse-engineered from their own technology during their month of evaluation. Inside the alien ship, chaos reigned. Their artificial gravity began operating in localized zones, creating a funhouse effect that left crew members bouncing between normal, zero, and double gravity. Their advanced AI systems, supposedly unhackable, began playing Earth memes on every screen, with a particular focus on "this is fine" dog memes. "Launch the emergency protocols," the High Evaluator commanded. "Initiate emergency retreat." But when they tried to engage their quantum drive, they discovered humanity's masterstroke. During the past month, Earth scientists hadn't just been studying their technology, they'd been subtly altering it. The quantum drive initiated, but instead of opening a path to escape, it created a localized field that locked the ship in place. From the United Nations building, Dr. Patel sent a message to the trapped alien vessel. "We feel obligated to inform you that you failed our evaluation. Your species demonstrates remarkable technological achievement, but shows a dangerous lack of wisdom in its application. Your tendency to underestimate other life forms poses a significant risk to galactic stability." The High Evaluator's color drained to a pale, sickly hue as they realized their own evaluation criteria were being turned against them. "Furthermore," Admiral Wong added, joining the transmission, "your security protocols are frankly embarrassing. Did it never occur to you that a species capable of splitting the atom might be able to understand quantum mechanics? That a civilization that went from horse-drawn carriages to the moon in under 70 years might be adaptable?" Across the alien ship, systems continued to fall under human control. Their weapon systems were dismantled line by code line. Their communication arrays were repurposed to broadcast human music. They had graduated from Rick Astley to a carefully curated playlist of humanity's most bewildering pop songs. The High Evaluator watched their readouts in disbelief as humans systematically took apart their technology. Not through brute force, but through clever exploitation of every assumption, every oversight, every arrogant mistake their species had made. "You may notice," Dr. Kumar's voice came through their speakers, "that we've taken the liberty of correcting some fundamental flaws in your quantum field generators. You're welcome, by the way. The improved efficiency should give you just enough power to limp home once we decide to let you leave." The aliens' attempt at retreat had become a humiliating lesson in humanity's true capabilities. Their ship, once a symbol of their technological superiority, now hung in orbit as a testament to the danger of underestimating a younger species. A final message appeared on their main screen, written in the flowing script of their own language. "Next time, try asking to be friends instead of demanding to be teachers. You might learn something." 1 month after humanity's decisive victory over the Zixotharians, Earth was a very different place. The alien ship had been allowed to limp home, carrying with it a message that would reshape galactic politics forever. But not before humans had copied every bit of data from their databases, purely for educational purposes, of course. In the former International Cooperation Center, now renamed the Galactic Relations Department, Earth's leaders gathered to review their new status. Holographic displays, reverse-engineered from alien tech but significantly improved, showed the rapid advances humanity had made in just a few weeks. The Zixatharians' quantum drive designs were actually quite inefficient, Dr. Patel explained, projecting a modified schematic. They were so focused on following their traditional methods that they missed dozens of obvious improvements. We've already doubled its efficiency by simply applying basic thermodynamics. The captured alien technology had proven to be a gold mine, not because it was superior, but because it showed humanity new possibilities. Like giving a master chef access to a new kind of oven, Earth's scientists took the alien tech and pushed it far beyond its original limitations. But the real victory wasn't in the technology. It was in the message Earth had sent to the galaxy. The High Evaluator's humiliating report to the galactic community had been compulsory viewing across hundreds of worlds. The footage of their mighty ship being reduced to playing Earth music while humans systematically dismantled their defenses had gone viral on whatever passed for social media among the stars. "We've received 17 requests for diplomatic relations in the past week alone," Admiral Wong reported, scrolling through a list of alien species. Apparently, being the species that made the Zixatharians play Rick Astley on loop has earned us quite a reputation. The message Earth had sent was clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. They'd included a detailed analysis of every flaw they'd found in the Zixatharian technology, along with suggested improvements, a masterclass in passive-aggressive technical support. "The best part," General Rodriguez added with a grin, "is that they can't even dismiss our achievements as luck or trickery. We beat them using their own technology, their own methods, just better." Earth's new status among the stars was unique. They weren't the most technologically advanced species, but they were quickly becoming known as the species you didn't want to antagonize. Other civilizations began sending their technology for evaluation, eager to find the flaws before humanity did it for them. In universities across Earth, new departments sprang up dedicated to combining human ingenuity with alien technology. The results were sometimes bizarre, like the quantum-enhanced coffee maker that could brew the perfect cup from any point in space-time, but always innovative. The final touch came in the form of Earth's new planetary defense system. Using modified Zixatharian technology, they created a shield that appeared to advanced scans to be a primitive electromagnetic field. Any species scanning Earth would see exactly what they expected to see, until they tried to test that assumption. A plaque was installed in the UN building bearing Earth's new unofficial motto, "Humanity, converting arrogance into progress since the beginning." Below it, in smaller text, "Quantum-enhanced SAS available upon request." As Earth took its place among the stars, the galaxy learned a valuable lesson. Technical advancement without wisdom was like having a quantum computer but using it only to play Pong. Humanity might not have been the most advanced species, but they had something better, the ability to take others' achievements and make them work in ways their creators never imagined. And somewhere in deep space, a chastened Zixatharian ship finally made it home. Its crew still humming "Never Gonna Give You Up," despite their best efforts to forget it.